Hello everybody, Flik here and welcome to Let's Chat, my weekly vlog series posted every Monday at lunchtime if you're in the UK. And this week we're going to do the same kind of song and dance as the last few weeks, where I'll answer questions or discuss things put forward by people who commented on last week's Let's Chat or who got in touch via Twitter. As of yet I don't think I've had any messages on Twitter, but we do have some questions on last week's, and then after that I guess it's probably going to be talk about YouTube again, chat time. For two reasons, in fact, so we'll get on to that though. So let's first of all go back to chat number 25 from last week, and we'll see what we can see in the comment section, starting at the bottom. Excuse me if you hear my mouse because I'm just moving my browsers around here. Right, so let's see. Dragon Achas, I'm not sure how you pronounce that name. Sash, that's you, right? Dragon Achas. Let's go with that. So now that you're close to wrapping up Dark Souls 2 and halfway through Spider-Man, what game will you be focusing on next? Well, Spider-Man is actually fully recorded. It isn't fully uploaded yet because I'm kind of spacing out the episodes, but by the end of next week it'll probably be up in its entirety. It's 12 parts long, I think I remember saying that, I can't remember. But yeah, that's done from a recording perspective. Dark Souls 2 wise, it technically isn't over because we're going into New Game Plus. New Game Plus is new to me and CR and Good Rory as well, actually, so there's potential for being surprised and getting maybe stuck. But I don't think it'll be as long as getting through New Game anyway, especially since we're doing it co-op, and generally it's a lot easier co-op. It's also a lot more fun, in my opinion. But as for what to do after that, I'm not 100% sure. I don't have any kind of direct plans other than carry on doing these chat videos, carry on doing the Prison Architect series for patrons, and also my look-ats of indie games and whatever else comes my way, basically. I'm considering doing a Watch Dogs playthrough if it isn't shit, and I don't know if it is shit or not yet. I've kept away from any kind of... the only footage I've ever seen of Watch Dogs is from the E3 it was originally announced. Other than that, I've kept well away. And I think I've already discussed before in the Let's Chats that I'm cautious about the quality it's going to have when it is released. However, I should be getting a review copy. However, Ubisoft weren't exactly clear on when I was getting it. That doesn't really matter, although if they do give me a copy I'll be at least doing a preview video on it. If that may have been a Twitter message, I'll check it in a second. Yeah, if I do get a review copy I'll be at the very least covering it for my Let's Look At, so I'll be doing like a first impressions / review. But if I end up liking it, I might do a playthrough. Other than that though, I don't know. It's one of those weird instances when you do reach the end of kind of like a long running playthrough. I've obviously still got Monster Hunter and I've still got plenty to do in that, but I like spacing that one out because I need it to bridge the gap until next year when Monster Hunter 4 is out. I'm not sure. I'm genuinely not sure. Sometimes things just take my fancy, but as far as new releases go, that new Wolfenstein doesn't interest me in the slightest. In fact, I'm quite frankly sick of seeing adverts for it. What else is out now or soon? Well, end of the month, Mario Kart 8. Can't do videos of that. Also, probably won't be buying it at release because I need to wait until I can get a second-hand copy. What else is out this month or soon? I'm not sure. I should probably look ahead and start planning because, as you've pointed out, I am only going to have Dark Souls and Monster Hunter running soon, along with Let's Look Ats, and I do get plenty of requests for that, so maybe I'll do more of them, although I try not to. I like spacing those out because I know not everybody wants to have like a here's a game you might want every single day for a variety of reasons. I'll look into it when the time comes. I've still got a little bit of leeway, I think, and as I say, I want to try Watch Dogs first before I make a final decision on that, which is due out, I think it's out on the 27th, and my review copy is supposed to come on or before then, so I don't know. Maybe it's a matter of trust as far as embargoes go, because I know there were some leaked reviews already. But anyway, let's move on. DRC with all the numbers after it saying no offense, but YouTube should leave the stuff alone. In this case, I feel the saying is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm not sure what I was talking about last week in reference to that kind of saying, but it's going to apply to two things I'm going to talk about in a second, so keep that in mind, I guess. Galeforce Gaming asked, do you think that the new Soul game from the new game from Software named Project Beast is going to be a new Demon Souls game or something else? I think it's going to be a new Demon Souls game. And on a little side note, news-wise, the person who made Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1 is now the president of From Software, which is very good. Congratulations to him, and I really do hope that Project Beast is indeed a new Demon Souls. And there's going to be a bit of an odd break here, because I just realised that it's 1:15 and I forgot to give her lunch, and she's now staring at me scratching herself that perhaps you can hear. I'll be back in 1 second. Right, I'm back. Apologies for that, but I forgot to feed Maya, so we can't be having that, otherwise she would have bugged me for the rest of this recording. So she's been fed now, and she's away. She sleeps usually after lunch. Actually, every time she eats lunch, she usually burps afterwards. It's the only meal she does it for. It's very strange. It's also very funny hearing a dog burp. But anyway, I think I went through most of the comments from last time. Let me just check here. Pretty much, other than Magic Mumbo talking about the early access stuff again. Oh my god, that is a wall of text. I can't really be reading that out. But if you want to see the discussion or join in, go back to Let's Chat number 25 and feel free, as long as you keep it civil. Let's see if that bing on my phone was a message. Where are we? TweetDeck, right here. What's the punishment in Scotland for sooting someone? Magic Mumbo, your autocorrect is bad. I assume it's the same as everywhere else. This is in reference to because he watched a Patreon video before I told anybody it was live, so I said I should be legally allowed to shoot him. And he giggled and said, "You'll have to find me first," and ran off into a bush. Okay, that's how you want to play it, that's fine. We'll see, I guess. We'll see who, or you won't see, but I'll see. I don't know what that meant, but I made it sound like a threat, so you better be scared. So anyway, let's move on to the other things I wanted to talk about. It's two things involving YouTube. And the first is obviously the rumours that they're in talks to buy Twitch for a massive amount of money, $1 billion. And then you put your pinky to your mouth. Yeah, at first I was trying to look for a silver lining in that deal. Like, oh, maybe it'll mean some good stuff with the integration between the two, although, quite frankly, the connectivity between Twitch and YouTube as it is now is fine, other than sometimes it takes a little while. But there is the ability to cut up your broadcasts on Twitch into VODs to put on YouTube. That exists today, everyone can do it. So then I started thinking, well, what negatives could there be for a potential deal between YouTube and Twitch? And yeah, people are right to be a little... Oh, and the dog's barking at nothing. People are right to be worried, because that is a deal that could potentially go really, really badly for everybody involved. Twitch could get filled with more ads. And the biggest concern actually is the... Sorry, I'm listening to see if the dog's barking because someone's coming to the door, but I think it's a charity bag being put through, and she hates charity. Yeah, the biggest problem would be a thing that's... Well, actually, I can directly relate this to something I mentioned last time. Remember last time when I was on a tirade about Mario Kart 8 and everybody on Twitch should stream it because they can get away with it? Well, if Twitch was to fully integrate into YouTube, it would be subject to the abused, horrible, broken content ID system that YouTube uses, and therefore a lot of Twitch would get screwed over. Another example I thought of was, there's a big speedrunning community on Twitch, and speedrunners aren't necessarily good commentators. They don't focus on their commentary because they're focusing on playing a game really, really well. So what a lot of commentators do is they often have music playing over while they play. Like, for example, I watched a speedrunner do Dark Souls 2, and they had music playing because they were rarely talking. They sometimes looked at the chat and responded to that. They sometimes commented on what they were doing, you know, maybe swearing because something went wrong, or being happy that something went right. But they're not doing what I do. They don't do constant commentary where you very much have to focus on what you're saying and keep up a conversation almost constantly. So they use music. If there's full integration between YouTube and Twitch, that ain't happening. Even if there isn't integration, even if YouTube just takes over, they will be bound by the same laws that applies to everything they do on YouTube. So I think it'll be really bad. It will be. And I mean, it's been almost a universal negative view of this deal if it is indeed happening or does happen. The best opinion, or if you ignore the naysayers and the people thinking it's the end of Twitch, the only other opinion you can genuinely find is, oh, maybe there's a slight good thing. There's no, wow, this is amazing. There's no one in that camp at all. There's no one there thinking that this is the best thing that's happened to Twitch ever. And that should be really telling. And you know, Twitch is within their rights to say no, but they are a business, and if someone offers you $1 billion in money as well, it's cash, it's not cash and stock, it's just cash. That is very, very hard to resist. And I believe that Twitch mostly works on a volunteer system as far as like its admin, well, you know, not the people who own the thing, but like the moderators and whatnot. They're all volunteers, so their overheads are probably just like the servers and whatnot. So you know, having $1 billion dangled in front of you and being able to just retire at whatever age the owners of the site are, and they can't be that old, I would bet that they're young entrepreneurs, that'd be bloody hard to resist, even if it did ultimately mean the destruction of the brand you helped build. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen. If it does happen, I think it will be almost negative for Twitch. It doesn't affect me because I can't Twitch, so it's not going to affect my position, but I can understand why people would be afraid for their positions, especially because Twitch was growing this reputation as it's the best place now. It's better than YouTube because YouTube is so bad now. And it was like the promised land. It was where people wanted to go to instead of YouTube because you can get away with so much more stuff. And I don't mean get away in a negative way. I mean your rights and your freedoms are better on Twitch, and that will change if YouTube owns it, because they'll have to have the same content ID crap that they have on YouTube that gets misused and abused and whatnot. It gets less abused now that they made it so if someone puts a claim on your video, they don't earn until you defend the right, which was fucking stupid if you want my opinion on it. At least they've now changed it that if there is a content dispute, no party earns anything until the dispute is cleared. But the onus is still on the person being accused rather than the accuser, which is, I was going to swear again, but it's bloody stupid. The stupidest part of the content ID system is most definitely that if you appeal a dispute, you appeal rather to the person making the dispute, not to YouTube. YouTube only steps in if you make the second dispute, and then that has the risk of if YouTube doesn't agree with you, you getting copyright struck. I hate them as a company. They're a faceless company, and that kind of brings me on to the other thing I wanted to talk about, which was that they actually posted a content creator's video. And, you know, fair play to Google that their synthetic life androids have come so far that they're now willing to put faces in their videos. Because if you watch that video, it's actually presented by people who look almost human. They don't sound almost human and they don't act almost human, but they look almost human. So, you know, you can almost relate to them as a human entity, even if they're not actually. And it was interesting because they were talking about all the things they've got planned, and they acknowledged that people were pissed off by the Google Plus integration and the horrible things they did to the comments, like people being able to post entire books in the comment section of videos and whatnot. They addressed that. Well, they acknowledged it. I don't think they addressed it. And they also kind of laid out plans they've got for the future, like for example protecting people on YouTube who do covers of songs. And covers of songs is perfectly legal, and don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. So I'm glad that they're doing that. There's a lot of good cover artists on YouTube that I like a lot, like for example the guy who does the Meat Metal channel. He just picks a song from like anything really, a movie, a TV show, anime, and he does a heavy metal version of it, and he's very, very talented. So if that gives people like him more protection, then great. And also Family Jewels is another one who does good covers of almost exclusively game music. So yeah, that's a good thing. I can't really find a fault in that, assuming they're not lying, obviously. And the other thing they mentioned was they're looking for more ways to monetize content on YouTube. Primarily what they called like a tips jar for content creators, or, you know, basically Patreon but built into YouTube. Now on paper that sounds great, because people are lazy and people are allowed to be lazy. I always say in regards to YouTube stuff, your viewer is allowed to be lazy but you aren't. So if they had like just a button within YouTube that was, you want to, you know, tip this person $5 or whatever for their video, people are more inclined to do that than here's a link to Patreon, why don't you go visit this site, and then you have to sign up on the site, and then you have to put in your credit card details, and then you have to decide on a monthly donation you'd like to make. You know, for every step you have to jump through, people are less likely to do it, so that's definitely a positive. Now what's the big obvious negative? It is incredibly unlikely that YouTube will let you keep 100% of donations that you get if they build in any kind of system into YouTube. They would want to cut, for sure. Is it going to be lower than what Patreon asks? Hell no, definitely not. Is it going to be higher? Yes, I would put money on it being stupidly high, maybe even the same percent of what they take before you get any money from ads, which is approximately 45%. But even if it wasn't 45%, what would they consider reasonable? You know, let's say like 20%, 20 to 30% maybe. Still much worse than Patreon. Patreon takes 7%, and 3% of that is credit card fees. They actually only take 4%, which is basically impossible for YouTube to beat. They just couldn't do it. It wouldn't be worth their trouble, I don't think. Well, actually, no, they probably would. Because of how many people are partnered and monetized on YouTube now these days, they would still make enough money. But they're greedy, and they're desperate for more money. And they know as well as everyone who makes content for YouTube that ads are not good enough anymore. They cost too little, they earn too little. It's really hard for people to make money for them. That's why people like me started making Patreon pages in the first place. So, I mean, I will watch with interest at YouTube trying to integrate this kind of tipping service into YouTube. I don't think it's going to make me stop using Patreon. I like that it isn't just that Patreon takes less money, it isn't just that. It's like related to what I was speaking about last time. It's the fact that if you do something via Patreon, you get something back for it other than gratitude. Although you obviously get that regardless. You get additional rewards, and that feels like you're at least getting something else for your money of tangible value. Again, like say Twitch subscriptions. Although if YouTube buys Twitch, those could be integrated as well into some kind of subscription service. I don't know. It's another weird time for the internet in general. But as I say, I think I will definitely be sticking with Patreon for now. But that's what YouTube has planned. It's a good idea in theory, but I think their greed will ruin it. And as far as the Twitch thing goes, I think that'll be terrible for everybody involved, although thankfully I'm not involved. I would have liked to have been able to live stream prior to now, so I could have tried being a Twitch streamer in its heyday, or what will, I think, say like a year from now be referred to as its heyday, before it all goes to shit like YouTube kind of has. I don't know. But anyway, I think that's the only things I wanted to talk about. This might be a bit on the shorter side, but the last few Let's Chats have run on a bit, so I like to try and keep these a little short now and then. I'll do one last look at Twitter to see if anybody else joined in. Nope, nothing on TweetDeck. Nope, okay. So I will say thank you very much for listening, and if you want to leave a comment in this video, I will answer it next time I record one. I usually record like say Friday or Saturday before the Monday it's due to go up. I also say on Twitter when I'm about to record, or on the day I'm about to record. So if you follow me on Twitter, which is @GamerEND, you can shoot me a question or a topic. You don't need to ask me anything. You could just like pitch something you want to hear me talk about for 20 minutes. But yeah, I think that's going to do it this week. Troubled times ahead for YouTube. And yeah, I think I'm going to go. I'm not even going to do a kind of elongated outro. I'm sick of doing those, quite frankly. I will aim for the end of June-ish to try and have some feedback on what I was talking about last time in regards to removing my outro in videos to see if it makes a significant difference. I'm also doing some additional testing with tags. I don't mean abusing them, I mean actually using less, and that's, again, you might think that's counterintuitive to how YouTube teaches you things, but I'm running a little bit of a test. I'll go into detail more towards the end of June when I've got like a wide range of days to kind of compare. Ideally I want a month-on-month comparison, but I might not wait that long. Either way, my name has been Flik, this has been Let's Chat. Stay tuned for more gaming stuff or random ranting vlog gibberish like this. Thank you for listening, and ta-ta for now.